The other thing that we've been quite public about lately is our Indigenous, or our Reconciliation Action Plan. I think Hilary mentioned traineeships and the value of traineeships to the organisation. We have, over the last couple of years, had a number of Indigenous trainees, and particularly focused in rural New South Wales, that the kids come and join us when they're still at school. There's quite a selection process that goes on, including talking to the families, so we don't just take any kid. There's quite a selection process. They join us, they work usually about a day a week and some work over the holidays, and they come out at the end with a certificate, something in finance and banking, or I'm not sure exactly what the certificate is. We've committed to something like 100 traineeships every year over the coming years. That has a significant impact on the community where we operate, but also means we've got this fabulous stream of young talent coming into the organisations. There's no commitment that they will stay with us after their traineeship, but we hope that the good ones will, and we've had really good retention rates so far. We're also looking at how we support those that want to go on to university so that we don't miss that relationship. So we keep the bond with them, either through continuing to work with us part-time or perhaps some funding of their study. So we're looking at different options there. But again, it's something that we think is really important. It's of benefit for us, but we can also make some public statements about it. So one of the, and you might be thinking, well, that's, all of those things sound great. They sound like things that cost a lot of money. You're a bank, you've got buckets full of money. And we do, but I have to tell you, everything comes with a fight, so we don't just get the cheque signed for these things. There's some of the stuff that we do that doesn't actually cost very much or any money at all. So one of the programs that I've run recently, that we've also had some publicity on, is we call it Trading Places, but it's a reverse mentoring program where the executives in my division were matched with mentors from more junior ranks of the organisation, and they were diversity mentors. So they might have been people who were young, people who were women returning to the workplace with children, people with a disability. We had a gay guy joining the group. So it was about how do we actually teach our senior people what it's like to be different from them. And that was virtually cost neutral. So there's stuff that we do that doesn't actually cost much, and we did get some publicity for it. So that was good as well. So think about just thinking about what's the best opportunity for you to unearth the talent that you're trying to target, and how do you go about potentially advertising those options. So Hilary also spoke about employee referral programs where you're paying your own staff to go out and do the job seeking for you, which works well. But thinking about, are those candidates going to be looking at the web? Are they going to be reading your local newspapers? Is it an industry magazine you should be advertising? Is it some sort of interest magazine? Maybe it's something as simple as community billboards. And I'm sure many of you use different options, but it's really thinking about how are you going to target the people that you're looking for? And there's all sorts of opportunities and options popping up. So in the last 12 months, probably the last 6 months, I've had at least 2 online recruitment firms who focus on women returning to the workforce after parental leave. So there's lots of different options there for you. So again, making sure that that's appropriate for the demographic that you're looking for. So I talked a little bit about brand promise, and really that, again, it's a bit of an HR term, but one that we use quite regularly. What's your brand promise? What is it that you can offer? We know that highly engaged staff are more likely to be highly productive. So I think we had a quote from Hewitt's up on the board before. We do measure our engagement through a Hewitt engagement survey and compare ourselves externally to understand, how are we going against our competitors. But things like communication, what is going to connect your people to your organisation? Work environment and conditions are obviously important. Both the previous speakers have spoken about learning and development opportunities. I think that's a hurry up sign when my presentation comes up. Very subtle. Next I'll turn the lights off. Career progression again has been spoken about. I think what's interesting in the disability sector in particular is connecting people in with what's meaningful for them. I mean, I think you've really got a great opportunity there to engage your people around the meaningful nature of their work. I think we struggle sometimes as a bank to do that. You know, for me, making a whole lot of money for people who are already quite wealthy doesn't always work for me. But it works. It obviously works for some people in our organisation. So what is it that's going to be meaningful for the people in your organisation? They need to be valued and recognised. So Hilary mentioned the saying thanks. We in my division pay bonuses that you would fall off your chair if I told you what they were to some of our people. But you know what? What they also want is to be thanked on a regular basis, and that doesn't have to cost anything. That's just merely that recognition that they're doing a good job and that they are valued. We need them to be supported and cared for, and we run lots of health and wellbeing programs as well at the organisation. And something came across my desk today, which was I didn't read it properly because it came in this morning, but a global study by Watson Wyatt that talks about and it gave the 5 top reasons for people leaving organisations, and the number one reason that employees gave was stress. It was something like 37% of the people interviewed talked about stress as being the number one reason for them to leave the organisation. So health and wellbeing is obviously really important for many of us. We've talked about surveying people and asking the question, and Hilary talked about exit interviews, but working out what the right question to ask is really important as well. What is it that you want to know from your people? What sort of feedback do you want to get from them? And then how do you go about asking that? So we do conduct surveys, and I wish Hilary was still here so I could show off, but we have something like 90% of our people complete engagement surveys, which is big numbers when you're talking of an audience of 30,000 people. We also have just launched this week, and it's the second time that we've run it. We call it My Difference Survey, and that's asking people about their diversity needs and their attitude towards diversity. That's also linked into flexibility. So flexibility is a big issue for us as well. And we're trying not just to make it about women with children, we want it to be for everybody and lots of different options. So whether it's part-time, whether it's job share, whether it's, for some of our older workers in particular, it might be taking 4 months off a year. So people can buy leave, they can take career breaks, they can work compressed weeks. So, you know, number of range of different options for our people that differ between the different businesses and obviously between the individuals' needs. What else do we do? We also run focus groups. So if a formal survey isn't relevant, and so we do both. We run the survey, but we also do focus groups. Focus groups might be easier for you to run, and sometimes it helps to get someone external to come in and run those for you. And we also do one-on-one interviews, so not just exit interviews, but while people are still here. So one of the activities that we did, we spoke about induction earlier, post-induction, so about 6 to 8 weeks after our people started, we gathered some resources who did a ring around and conducted one-on-one interviews just to see whether we were meeting that brand promise. So people come in having all of these expectations, were they being met? So there's a number of ways to get the feedback. What's really important, I think, is that you do it consistently. So for us, the level of suspicion around things like our engagement survey has reduced over time when people realise that haven't been found out for what they wrote. And so we've been running those for a number of years. Also, what consistently happens is that we give back the findings and we take action on what people are telling us. So it's very public what we do around the action. So really important to ask the question, but also really important to do something with it once you've got that information. So I'm going to leave it there. I think Peter's pointing at his watch, so I'll take that as a subtle hint that I should stop now. But thank you, everyone.